Hello, and welcome to Unwrapping the Gift. Here we discuss issues in gifted education, teacher tips, and leadership strategies. I'm Dr. Darlene Wiggins-Dockery. And today I pose the question, is gifted education elitist? Last spring, Raleigh, North Carolina's News and Observer and the Charlotte Observer did a joint investigative report and found that North Carolina students who were from low-income homes, even if they scored higher than their white, more affluent peers, were very unlikely to be placed in gifted programming. For example, in the 2014 school year in Wake County, 228 low-income third graders scored a 5, superior or above grade level on their math end-of-grade test, and did not get into the gifted math class the following year. Yet 291 more affluent students who scored a 4, solid or at grade level, qualified as gifted. The following quote from the Charlotte Observer summarizes the stories. The sorting starts early, it accumulates, and it consistently works against children from low-income homes. In the News and Observer, reporters noted, families who can afford it have an additional way into the classes for gifted students. If families can afford the $600 to $1,200 test administration fee, there's an additional way that their children can be identified for participation in gifted programming. Private psychologists can administer tests that are accepted in Wake and Mecklenburg counties. Parents who pursue outside testing in order to secure a slot for their children in gifted education programs is not a unique phenomenon to North Carolina. In fact, it is almost an open secret that in many communities throughout the nation, parents pay to prepare their students to be successful on gifted education placement tests. So what are some reasons that African American, Latino, and Native American students are often overlooked? Perhaps a study by Frank provides some clues. In 2007, Frank demonstrated the potential for professional development to address issues of deficit mindset in teachers that may impact identification for gifted education based on language. In a quasi-experimental study within a Texas school district, she identified 2 elementary schools for participation. Participation was based on pre-established criteria, including a willingness on the part of the district superintendent and the school's principals to take part in the study. In addition, the participants represented a district that had not identified any migrant students for participation in gifted education previously. Further, the participating schools had to have student populations less than 5,000. While one school served as the control group, teachers from the other school participated in 3 one-hour after-school professional development opportunities on the cultural influences on learning styles. Frank found that in the school where teachers received professional development that allowed them to recognize gifted characteristics outside of their own cultural lenses, migrant students were identified for gifted programs. In the school where teachers did not receive professional development, migrant students continued to go unidentified. Teacher attitudes, then, can be a potent predictor of underrepresentation. In 2006, McBee noted that equipping classroom teachers to understand gifted behaviors is imperative since they provide most nominations for gifted education programs. Deficit thinking in teachers is often linked to the low rates of referral of African American, Latino, Native American, English language learners and low-income students from all populations. This is further complicated by the fact that for every positive manifestation of a gifted characteristic, there is often also a negative manifestation. For example, if the characteristic is creativity, then of course the positive aspect is this child is going to be an innovative thinker. There may also be a negative aspect in that the child also may be a little disruptive in that they may have these ideas that just want to spill out, and you may not have time to continue with that subject. Let's look at the positive characteristic of verbal proficiency. So the positive aspect is that student will be good at articulating. The negative aspect will be this student may dominate the conversation. Let's look at another positive characteristic, accelerated pace of learning. So the positive aspect is that student can move quickly through material. The negative aspect is this student will often get frustrated with the pace of learning because he or she will spend a lot of time waiting for peers to catch up. Let's look at the characteristic of seeks order. So the positive aspect is this student likes to plan ahead and often will keep everything very neat. The negative aspect is this student will have difficulty with spontaneity. And finally, let's look at the characteristic, huge stores of facts and long memory. The positive aspect is this student will learn quickly. And again, the negative aspect has to do with waiting because the student will often become bored and impatient with others, and this may lead to the student acting out. There are some models emerging of districts implementing research-based strategies that address both excellence and equity. One model that has 20 years of data to support its effectiveness is Virginia's Fairfax County Public Schools Young Scholars Model. The foundation of this model is professional development for principals, cultural competency training for gifted resource teachers, research-based curriculum and pedagogy, and the use of data for gifted program improvement and student support. The founding coordinator, Dr. Carol Horn's philosophy is err on the side of inclusion. Jonathan Plucker, the Julian C. Stanley Professor of Talent Development in the School of Education at Johns Hopkins University, pointed out, so although we have research-based strategies that shrink excellence gaps and raise overall levels of excellence, we rarely see a district tackle this problem. He went on to say, this phenomenon has grown so frustrating for me that in response to a reporter's question about how to close excellence gaps, I recently replied, be overly enthusiastic and supportive if you see someone trying to address these gaps. They're swimming upstream and need our support. While some researchers noting the efforts of the gatekeepers of many gifted programs suggest that gifted education programs in effect further institutionalizes inequity in public schools, others recognize its potential as a college pipeline for students whose families may lack resources to pursue opportunities for academic rigor for their children beyond what the public school can offer. So, is gifted education elitist? I answer that question with a question. Are our efforts as researchers, administrators, and teachers ensuring that it is not? Thank you for tuning into my channel. And if there are any other topics in the field of gifted education that you would like for us to explore, please put it in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.